So you're buying a property using creative finance, subject to or a wraparound. You close the deal and you find a lien on your property. What do? So in this video, I'm gonna give you an example of a real life transaction that just came up we had to deal with. I hope it helps you guys out. So guys, when we play the owner finance game, all types of things can happen and you just gotta understand them, be prepared for them, and do your best to avert them. In the title industry, the largest risk of loss that a title company has is a lien being filed in the gap. What that means is that as a title attorney, we will do a bring to date on title, anywhere from 3 to 7 days before closing. But what can happen in real life is a lien gets recorded the next day or the next day just before you close the property. There's no way to know about it. And so the title companies run that risk of those items happening. But in the creative finance world, when we buy houses with a wraparound mortgage or subject to the debt, we want to do the same thing too. So in this situation, we had a contract to close a transaction subject to the existing debt. We got the title report back and there was a judgment lien on it and it attached to a homestead. So here in Texas, when you have that, you can remove that judgment lien on a homestead by sending out what is called an Affidavit of Homestead and release a judgment lien. It takes about 34 days to make it all happen. So we do all of that, and then we turn around and we close the transaction 34 days later. But we're never asked to pull a new title report because it's going to cost another $350, unfortunately. Now, at the closing table, the seller signs off on what is called an affidavit of debts and liens, saying there are no other debts or liens against the property that may attach to it. Well, a few months later, the investor is selling the home through our title office, and lo and behold, a brand new judgment lien pops up. In fact, it was the same lender, it was the same attorney, it was filed about 28 days later. No way that we would have known about it, and in fact, the title work would have had to been pulled some 10 days plus after closing just to find this particular judgment lien. And so this is the same scenario where this lien was filed in the gap between the time we filed and pulled our abstracts of title and then closed the property. This is the situation where a seller failed to disclose to the buyer this lien. So when we ran across this situation, the investor who bought the property was just screaming, going, "Why is this out there? We checked title." So of course, I had to take a moment and explain the situation, how it happened, how it occurred, and how there was no way to know about it at the time he closed. And even if we had checked title the day before, this lien would not have been found or picked up because of a certification process most counties have. I was asked a question, well, how would this seller, they know they have this judgment lien against them? Well, guys, that's a pretty obvious question, I think, and a pretty obvious answer. First off, to have a judgment lien against you, you had to have gotten sued. So obviously this person was served in some format with a lawsuit. There was a court date. And again, this person would have been notified of that court date. So there's probably no way that they don't know about it. Most likely they just forgot about it. But at the end of the day, it really is their responsibility for failing to disclose this lien that's out there because it was out there and it was a lien or a debt that could be against the property. Along the way, we were fortunate and able to be able to resolve it after the fact. It just took a lot of fancy footwork, but it's something we investors have to stop and think about for a moment because that is what can happen in real life. Again, that is one time in thousands and thousands of closings that this has popped up. So the key there is just understand that these things can happen. Don't jump to conclusions. The real key is trying to find a solution to the problem. And guys, as investors, sometimes these are risks that we have to take in our business. If this was a seller who had no equity in the transaction, that had no money, you're probably stuck with it unless we want to do a reversal of the transaction in order to remove it. So there are ways of handling it. It can slow the process down. In this instance, the investor wanted to sell the house for cash and get his profit out. And fortunately, we were able to work with the original seller of the property that helped us solve most of the problems. So just be wise as you look at these transactions. Things can happen. They don't happen often, but they can. And having a good understanding of the deal before you go out and assume things improperly will help you in your transaction and navigating your closing as you move forward. So if you're looking to learn more about these types of transactions, how it can fit into your real estate investment business, and information that may help you avoid these situations, take a minute and visit us over at theownerfinancenetwork.com. We have several courses online that you can look at purchasing that might be beneficial to you in helping you understand more about liens on property. So if you like this video, take a minute and like it, please. And if you have any other questions, click below and leave us a comment. I'll see you guys next time.